When I was in elementary school, my mom forced me, every day, to read short stories to her in 2 Indian languages. I was 6. I would much rather have been doing anything else than waste precious playtime reading short stories in foreign languages. It was basically worse than doing homework because I couldn't pull the classic, "Sorry, my dog ate my homework" excuse because, well, the teacher was in my house and she knew I didn't have a dog. So what did I do to avoid my misery? I remember skimming through the entire book, picking out the shortest stories, and just reading those same 5 stories again and again. On top of that, if I had to read for, let's say, 10 minutes, I would just read those stories very, very slowly. Needless to say, this was not my favorite thing to do, and I drove my mom crazy. But now, years later, I proudly say I can speak 6 languages, have a diploma in Indian classical dance, and most importantly, talk to my extended family in India. Not just small talk, but I can really connect to them on a level I could not have if I did not know much about my culture. Growing up in the US, we're already exposed to American culture, whether it be through school, social media, extracurriculars, or friends. We grew up watching the 4th of July fireworks, going door to door, practically begging for candy on Halloween, and looking forward to every Super Bowl halftime show. But in a multicultural world like ours, we have the opportunity of being exposed to other cultures. Of course, staying connected to another culture will take more effort, but developing cultural awareness will ignite the light within you and ultimately society. I will be covering 3 main topics today. What is cultural awareness? What are its benefits? And how can we develop it? America, as we know, is the land of opportunities, making it a hub for immigrants and a melting pot for various ethnicities and cultures. Cultural awareness is much more than knowing just how people dress or what they eat. I like to think of culture as a tree, with the leaves being attributes that you can see, such as language, attire, celebrations, and behavior, and the roots being values, traditions, customs, and beliefs. Once you understand both the leaves and the roots of the culture tree, you have cultural awareness. But why is this important? I asked myself the same question years ago when sitting at my kitchen table reading those short stories. Why should someone go through the efforts of being and staying culturally aware? Well, years later, I know why. Cultural awareness ignites the light personally, professionally, and for society. I have known my friend since 1st grade. To protect her privacy, let's call her Michelle. Both of Michelle's parents were born and brought up in China and later immigrated to America just a couple years before she was born. Ever since 1st grade, Michelle would tell me about her occasional visits to China. While talking to her a couple weeks ago, I noticed a pattern in all of her stories. She would be extremely glad to be back home in California, not only because she missed her friends, but because she felt like a complete outsider the entire time she was there. As I wrote this speech, I reached out to her again to ask her a couple questions. She said that while she was decently fluent in Mandarin, she would have felt more at home if she knew more about her culture and her roots. Since her last visit to China, Michelle has been able to rediscover her roots and become more open-minded through taking an AP Chinese course in her school. Now, whenever she calls her family in China, she's able to better connect and better relate to them, which ultimately strengthens a sense of support and connection whenever she's around them. So obviously, there are personal benefits, such as developing a deeper connection with your family and friends, and having a wider social network. Those who are bicultural can often speak more than one language, and past research has already shown the correlation between multilingualism and high cognitive power and emotional and social skills. But it turns out that a lot of other benefits stem from having different perspectives that are developed when being deeply grounded within 2 cultures that you identify with. These perspectives ignite creativity and innovation, and influence the way we think and behave. 3 researchers from Tel Aviv University in Israel, Northwestern University in the US, and INSEAD in Europe recently conducted 3 studies on both bicultural and monocultural students. In the first study with the group of MBA students in Europe, they found out that biculturals were more fluent, flexible, and novel, which means that they generated a greater number of ideas that were more unique and more creative. In the second study with the group of MBA students in the US, they found out that biculturals had more patents for products and services than monocultural students. The researchers noted that the reason biculturals exhibited high creativity is because they had a high integrative complexity. In simple English, that means that their thought processes combine various different possibilities and perspectives for any given situation. Specifically, biculturals are able to view a situation from 2 different lenses, giving them a more holistic view on how to approach it. Their ability to think outside the box ignites creativity within them, which automatically sets them apart from others. This creativity carries through professionally as well. The 3 researchers from before conducted a 3rd study, this time with a group of Israeli professionals working in the Silicon Valley. They found out that biculturalism led to a higher promotion rate and a better managerial reputation. With businesses going global, it's crucial not to underestimate the effect that cultural differences may have. The reason the Israeli professionals were so successful is because awareness of your own culture translates to cultural sensitivity, which again is increasingly important in a diversified workplace. Through cultural sensitivity, people are able to combat dealing with conflict and hierarchy through different perspectives. This results in an increased communication between coworkers and a greater compatibility within a team. But this is not only about the individual. Cultural awareness can prevent cultural appropriation within society. Let's go back to the culture tree that I was talking about. Simply put, cultural appropriation is when people from one culture carefully and conveniently pluck the leaves off the culture tree of a different culture while completely disregarding the roots. An example of this happened last year with the recent production of The Lion King. Now, I know what you're thinking. The Lion King has been a children's classic for the past quarter century, so what could have possibly arisen? Well, it turns out that Disney had trademarked one of the most popular phrases in the movie, Hakuna Matata, meaning no worries. However, this understandably outraged many Swahili speakers. How can a business trademark a part of a language, a part of a culture, just to make more profit? Such an outrage could have been avoided through cultural awareness and cultural sensitivity. If we want to ignite the light within society and bring everyone together, we have to start igniting the light through cultural awareness within ourselves, which brings me to my last point. How can we develop cultural awareness? The biggest thing that we can do at any age is to be observant of the different cultures, especially the ones around us. The issues that arise from not being culturally aware often stem from ignorance, and addressing that is well within our control. Everybody can start learning a language that they're interested in. Younger children can talk to their extended family about various traditional holidays and festivals. High school students and college students can take part in exchange programs to broaden their understanding about different countries and different cultures. In the workplace, professionals can celebrate holidays and festivals, such as Diwali, Chinese New Year, Hanukkah, and more. However, it's important to do this carefully because if not done properly, cultural appreciation can quickly turn into cultural appropriation. To avoid this, we need to give due credit to the cultures that we're inspired by, while also being aware of their boundaries. So, to conclude, if I could go back in time and tell my 6-year-old self one thing, it would be to appreciate those short stories instead of challenging them, because those short stories helped me embrace my culture, enhance my language, and ultimately brought me closer to myself. On a global level, Cultural awareness allows people to be more appreciative of each other's differences. Therefore, developing cultural awareness will ignite the light within you and ultimately society. Thank you.